Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to take you on a tour of my one bedroom, one bathroom, 950 square foot New Jersey condo apartment with an amazing New York City skyline view. I want to talk about how I was able to purchase this home as my first home when I was making only about $60,000 a year as a graphic designer, and how I decided to become a homeowner as a single woman. I bought this home about 3 years ago. At the time, I was living in New York City and dealing with a really messy roommate situation and going through a breakup at the same time. So this is definitely a new start for me. At the time, I didn't think I could afford anything because I just assumed that New York City has one of the most expensive homes in the world, and I was barely scraping by as a designer on a medium grade salary. So I wasn't even thinking that this is an option. When my mother learned about my living situation, she suggested that I look into buying. And I looked at her like she was crazy, because how can I possibly afford a home as a single woman on a $60K salary? I just didn't think it was even possible, but moms are always right. So later on, I decided to start looking, and I was looking around in the New York City area, in Queens, in the Upper Bronx, and in Brooklyn, and I just didn't find anything. Everything in New York City was very expensive, and also most of the inventories were co-ops. So for those of you who are not familiar with co-ops, it's basically a glorified lease, because you're not really owning the real estate. You are buying into shares of the building, and the building is still owned by the corporation. So I wasn't really happy about that situation, because if I'm paying that much money, I want to own it outright. So I decided to be a little flexible on location, and I looked across the river in New Jersey. At first, I was really pleasantly surprised, because I suddenly found that there are a lot more inventories available in New Jersey within my price range, and they are condos and not co-ops. So my first requirement was satisfied. I can own outright. And obviously in New Jersey, it's a little bit more affordable than New York City. So I was able to find a lot more inventories that I can afford. At first, I was gonna make an offer for a small studio looking over the river. It has an amazing view. However, the seller rejected my offer. I was outbidded by another buyer one day before I was gonna make the final offer, and I was heartbroken. I thought that this is it. I was not gonna find anything like that, and my lease was running out in New York, and I didn't know what to do. So it was a really desperate situation. But guess what? My agent told me, don't worry about it. Things happen. You just have to go back to square one and start over again. So that's exactly what I did. And 2 weeks later, I found my current apartment. So the whole house hunting process took me about 10 months from beginning to finish. Everything was really new to me. I had to learn how to get a mortgage, how to get my credits in line. Luckily, I was able to do all of that without a lot of trouble, because I found myself a really nice real estate agent. She was really working hard for me, advocating for me, and she's a big people person, so everybody likes her. When I was about to make an offer on this current home that I'm living in, she actually talked to the seller's agent, and she found out that the seller's agent is Latvian, and she happened to speak Latvian herself because her husband is Latvian. So they quickly established a bond, and the seller's agent told my agent about a number that they are willing to accept. So the deal closed very easily. I was actually going on vacation in Florida, and my agent hounded me on contracts, on everything that I needed to sign immediately. And I'm so glad she did, because She made the process so much easier. As a homeowner, there are a lot of benefits because you are no longer answering to any landlords. So you have outright ownership. Nobody's going to kick you out if you pay your bills on time. Otherwise, the bank could own your home and evict you. So that is one thing that I really love about being a homeowner, is the sense of ownership, the sense of control, the sense of security that I no longer have to move when someone else tells me to. I will only move when I feel like moving. But as a homeowner, I have to make sure that every month I pay my mortgage on time, in addition to my real estate taxes, my parking, and my monthly maintenance fee. Because this is a full-service building with 24-hour doorman, a swimming pool, a gym, a sauna, a spa. We have a lot of amenities, and we all have to pay for that. But I love how safe that I feel here and how residential this neighborhood is. Compared to New York, it really is a lot more quiet and peaceful to live here. And in front of the building, we have buses that goes to New York City directly. So commute isn't really that much of a problem for me during the week, even though on the weekend, it could get a little bit slower when I try to go out. If I have to do it over again, I still would have chosen home ownership. Having lived here for 3 years, I feel very privileged and lucky that I was able to make the most of my situation and find a home for myself, even though I am not married, I don't have a family, I don't have kids, but this feels like my first home because I no longer am somebody else's roommate. I'm no longer in that transient state. I am living here as the owner of this apartment. So I really feel like home ownership is what makes me feel like an adult and what makes me ready for my next step in my career and in my life.